I want to frame a little tension here. We're wired to push ourselves harder. We are a driven, high-achieving, focused on accomplishment type of professional. We rarely treat ourselves kindly. With self-compassion, you'll have more resiliency, it will help with courage, which could lead to momentum. And it starts with you and laying a really strong foundation. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Code 3 Life Reinvented. I am your host, AJ Jones, and I'm thrilled you're here, and I'm excited to spend some time with you here today talking about something that I believe is fundamental, yet overlooked. And I'd like to start this conversation out with being a little bit vulnerable. And I want to share with you sort of how I have treated things in the past. In fact, I am the king of this situation, if I'm being completely and radically honest. During my corporate America career, no matter how well my day might have gone on various metrics and what have you, if there was one element of my day where I received some criticism or some negative feedback, certainly if it came from someone higher up in the organization, or if I didn't perform at the level I thought I could have. So for example, if I went into a board meeting or presentation to the C-suite and I didn't deliver with the manner in which I thought I could have, or I forgot a really important point that I told myself I had to share in this presentation leading up to it, and I totally forgot it, I would beat myself up. This was my SOP, my standard operating procedure. And I got to tell you, I'm not proud of it, but it was and is still something I'm really working on, something that I did and do. And I wonder if what I'm saying relates to you in any way whatsoever, because I don't think I'm alone with this. I think what this is detrimental to our progress, to our resiliency, to our ability to take courageous steps forward. And I'm going to tell you why through this episode. And at the end, I'm going to give you a couple of tips and tricks that you can implement today to help you here. And I look forward to jumping into it. So let's do it. I want to frame a little tension here. We're wired to push ourselves harder. If we are a driven, high-achieving, focused on accomplishment type of professional, we rarely treat ourselves kindly. We push ourselves, we max ourselves out. We are redlined many times. We're traveling, we're doing all these things. We're late at the office, working at night, sometimes getting pulled in on the weekends, whatever it is. But we rarely treat ourselves kindly. And I want to ask a question here. What if your next reinvention or transformation started with compassion for yourself instead of criticism? I want to talk to you today about self-compassion. Now, before you back out of this episode and you're like, whoa, did he just say self-compassion? Is this going to be some woo-woo talk? No, I hope it is not that. I think this is a really, really important piece to what can help you with your foundation and your resiliency. So I hope you give me a chance and you hear me out here. Why self-compassion matters. In its simplest definition, it's treating yourself you treat a close friend. Now let's go into a hypothetical. You're at home, you get a knock on the door. It's one of your best friends, one of your super close friends, and they're a hot mess. You can see it in their body language, you can see it in their face. They are down and despondent, and they're beating themselves up. What would you do in that moment? Would you beat on them too? If they were there saying, oh, I had this really bad experience at work, my manager said this to me and it's really destabilized me and I think I'm going to get fired, would you jump on that and pile on? Or would you welcome them into your house? Would you sit them down, maybe sit next to them, offer them something to drink? Maybe they need you to put your arm around them. You would probably console them and you would tell them that they're okay and that they've made it through all sorts of other trying times in their lives and they'll get out of this one, and that they have some really great skills and qualities that the world needs, and that this is just a minor setback and it probably won't be as bad as they think, and all these sorts of things. That's probably what you do to a close friend, something along those lines. But do you do that for yourself? How often do you take that time and that moment to do that for yourself? Or do you just get on that self-criticism spin wheel and go round and around and around and just beat yourself up? So it's more self-criticism than it is about self-compassion. Self-compassion is not soft. It's not indulgent. It's not letting yourself off the hook. It's not at all that. I know there are expressions out there, I need space or give myself some grace. That all is a part of this. But this isn't an element of being soft. Okay. And so there's an achiever's paradox that's out there. And that is the tougher we are on ourselves, the faster we burn out. And when we burn out, what happens? We don't perform as well in the office. We are irritable. We are not ourselves. We leave who we are. We probably engage in self-soothing behaviors in whatever form that takes, whether that's with drinking more alcohol or drinking excessive amounts of caffeine or taking drugs, be it prescription or otherwise, whatever it is. There's probably a level of burnout which will lead to not so great behaviors and outcomes. And in my world, as a heart attack survivor, burnout and stress are really bad news. They lead to inflammation. Well, stress leads to inflammation, and inflammation can lead to some potentially very dangerous cardiac situations. And that I've lived in my own life. So when I created More, and maybe this is a chance for me to introduce my company, More. It is a destination for accomplished professionals at crossroads who are looking for clarity and courage to move into a compelling path forward. And when I thought of creating the methodology for More after my second Widowmaker heart attack, the second time I touched death's door, I sat down and I said, what's really important? Because I was beating myself up. Why did I have a second heart attack? Why did this happen? I must have screwed up. I must have slipped on my diet. I probably wasn't exercising enough. I went straight into this cycle of behavior that is so unproductive and unhelpful. And I realized, well, as part of the More methodology, I think the first phase we have to focus on is getting our foundation right. And I'm going to get into the foundation in a second. And that starts with self-compassion at More, M-O-R-E, morecareerwellness.com. Now that we've introduced why self-compassion matters, I want to talk about self-compassion and how it helps with resilience. Now, I'm sure that there are many high-achieving, driven people out there who say, what the heck does self-compassion have to do with resilience? Resilience is about having a tough skin, a stiff upper lip, the ability to pull myself up by my bootstraps and keep charging forward. Okay, that's one way to look at it. And I'm not saying that's necessarily totally wrong. But what I'm saying is self-compassion can help you with your resilience. And it can help you in these ways. It can help you bounce back faster because you are spending less energy wasted on self-blame, self-criticism, and beating yourself up. You can deploy that energy to more productive things, into your growth, into other areas. And so that is why it's really critical. And I do enjoy a good metaphor. And it's like self-compassion can serve as a psychological shock absorber. Just like in your cars, when you're going over a bumpy road, you have your shock absorbers that smooth out the ride, right? Self-compassion can do the same thing for you. So it cushions the hit, whatever that hit is, criticism, or maybe you lost your job, or maybe you didn't perform at a level you thought you could, and it's going to show up in your performance reviews and you're not going to get the right raise and bonus. It can cushion the hit so you recover without long-term damage, right? Less damage to your car, the chassis, and everything like that. You can see where I'm going with this. And there's research out there that higher self-compassion leads to more adaptability and less spiraling. And I think that's so critical. We want to stop the spiraling by using self-compassion, which can then, once you've got that psychological shock absorber system deployed for you, it can lead to more adaptability and some other really cool things. So the anchor here is when you feel yourself entering that negative proverbial death spiral and beating yourself up and all this stuff is happening, treat yourself with kindness and the understanding especially when it's a moment of failure, struggle, or pain, like you would a close friend, right? You'd sit them down, offer them something to drink, maybe a box of tissue. You'd sit next to them, you'd hear them out, you'd console them, you'd pick them up, and they would feel better when they left. Why won't we take that same approach with ourselves? I know I rarely, if ever, did. And I wish I had this concept in my mind and in my practice. It probably would have saved me a whole lot of negative and wasted effort and lack of presence with my family, less irritability with others, less self-soothing, it increased and improved sleep. So self-compassion can be your fuel. It can be your fuel if you are in the reinvention, career transformation, looking to redefine what's possible for yourself. Self-compassion is your fuel. And you cannot sprint into change if change is what's ahead for you, if that is what you're contemplating. You can't do it on empty. And you're certainly not going to be very productive in that process if you're beating yourself up all the time. It just is not going to be helpful. It's going to lead to bad things. You're not going to eat well, and you're going to probably drink too much or whatever, not sleep as well. And it's not going to be super healthy for you. And I think one of the greatest things about self-compassion, when you think about it, is you are choosing you. You is in all caps, Y-O-U, all caps. You are choosing you. It's an act of choice. You are making a clear decision that this is important, and this is an act of choice. And I'm going to use self-compassion as a very important tool in my life, because choosing you means putting your needs on the table. When was the last time you did that? These needs, this is really important to me. I need to recognize it, and I need to make this a priority in my life. You will start to find ways to decouple your worth, and I'm talking about self-worth, from your performance in your career. That is really, really critical. And you refuse, by using self-compassion, you are going to refuse to keep running on empty. You are going to put yourself and your needs on the table. You are going to take self-compassion breaks. I'm going to talk to you in a few minutes about some tools that you could use today that could help you. But you can't keep running on empty. It's hard to charge into a new future for yourself. So this choice becomes a foundation for you. And now I'm going to go back to metaphors, because I like talking about metaphors, but I want to talk about a house metaphor. Self-compassion is like pouring concrete before you frame and build a house. That foundation is essential, right? It's got to be poured properly. There could be no gaps or cracks. It's got to be the right thickness, and so forth. You cannot build a beautiful house that will meet the needs for your life if that foundation is shaky or has cracks or weaknesses in it, because guess what? When the storm hits, what's going to happen? That house is probably not going to withstand the storm of self-criticism, of self-doubt, of things that go wrong. We all are living in this world where things do go wrong. And if they do, if you don't have a solid foundation, things just begin to fall apart. But with self-compassion, you can go back and reinforce that foundation to make sure it is solid. And when it starts to have cracks, we go back and we put more foundational cement through self-compassion so it can carry the weight of change. It can withstand the storms of life. And I think that this is really, really important to think about. I think there are three pillars of self-compassion. The first is I have to be aware of that inner critic. So awareness is the first pillar. I've got to notice and be aware of this inner critic. When that critic starts chirping in your ear and starts telling you how bad of a person or how you're never going to be successful, you're never going to get promoted, you're never going to be recognized in the way you think you should be, and blah, 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 all this stuff. And it just starts to spiral. You have to be aware when it's happening. You have to notice it. Okay, inner critic, got it. You're here. All right, here we go. You have to accept that mistakes and things that you do that don't go great are part of being human. It's all part of the human experience. And you have to accept that that is how things are for all of us. We all have these mistakes. We all have our screw ups and things that didn't go according to plan. And maybe we don't meet the expectations of those that manage us or give us performance reviews and whatever. We have to accept that everybody deals with that. And then the third piece is action. So you have awareness, acceptance, and now action is to respond with kindness. As I said earlier, how would you respond to a really close friend who was going through something that was really distressing for them? How would you respond? You would respond with kindness. And that's the action I encourage you to take as we think about self-compassion. So awareness, acceptance, and action. All right. As promised, I did want to introduce some practical tools and exercises. I just want to take a couple minutes here and talk about these because, with everything that I want to do on this podcast, Code 3 Life Reinvented, is I want to make sure that whether I'm interviewing somebody or I'm doing a solo episode like I'm doing here today, that there is something practical that you can implement in your life today. No matter how small it is or whatever, you have something that you could hopefully take with that will improve your life in some capacity. So when that inner critic shows up, what do you do? Now, one idea here is externalize it. Give it a name. Give it an avatar. What's it like? Why does it show up? Call it Fred. When Fred shows up and starts yammering in my ear about how I screwed up or I'm a failure, I just don't have the capabilities to hit this goal, I'm going to name it. I'm going to put it over there. Fred, you go sit on that windowsill over there and we're going to have a conversation. Appreciate your concern, but I don't really need it right now. The next thing is to reframe self-talk. So me being the king of this, I blew it. I'm terrible. I got to go home and I'm cranky and I'm not present with my kids and my wife and I'm probably not going to eat right and all the things. I'm going to have a terrible night's sleep if I slept at all and all this sort of stuff. I wish I'd had this. From I blew it to I'm learning here. I'm learning. This is part of being human and I'm learning. And, what do I get from this? There's something here I can grow from and I'm going to add to my toolkit, whatever that is, whatever that experience was for you, you're going to learn from it. It's not about beating yourself up. And one of the things that I think is super helpful for me now, and I do practice this, and I need to do it more often if I'm being radically honest here, is about breathing. And when you feel yourself beginning to spiral and your stomach is tight and your chest might feel tight and you lose your appetite and all this stuff because of you're so worried, go find a comfortable chair to sit in, put both feet on the ground comfortably. Make sure you're comfortable in that chair, wherever you are, and practice some really deep breathing, like the kind where you fill your chest cavity full of air and you do a deep belly breath. Pull the breath into your stomach. Really fill out your stomach and feel the stretch across your abdomen. Hold your breath for a moment and then breathe out slowly through the mouth if you can, if you're not going to disturb people around you, for a count of 5 or 6. Take a pause and then breathe in slowly again and fill up that chest cavity and belly breathe, big belly breath, and a slow breath out. Exhale out. You can repeat as necessary as you need it, and it's free. And keep doing that until you feel your nervous system settle and your mind starts to calm, and that might help you move forward. Journal. If that's your thing, if you like writing, journaling is not a bad idea here. Like, get out a piece of paper or your journal and write it and get it all out. Get it out of your mind, out of your soul, onto a piece of paper where it can stay. Help you just process it in that way. And always be sure before you overreact that you pause. You give yourself a space before that inner critic takes over your mind, before you get a chance to deal with it. Pause, take those deep breaths before you start judging yourself, and that beating yourself up starts to happen. This is one of the first steps. This is the first phase that we do with more, because you need this brick in place to give yourself the foundation to build upon it. And when you do this, I think you'll see there's a ripple effect. Now, what are you talking about, AJ? What's this ripple effect business with self-compassion? But think about it. As your resilience improves, or you bolster your resilience by using and deploying some self-compassion, you are stronger. You are more able to withstand the hits, which gives you more energy, more positive, productive energy to do other things, to take a step forward, to spend time with your family or loved ones, whatever it is. It allows you to do that. And so that helps with resilience. And with resilience, that can lead to courage, right? Because if you know that if you fail, if you try something new, that if you fail, you've got this tool of self-compassion and you're not going to be worried so much about if I fail, I'm going to beat myself up forever. No, it will improve your courage, help you with your courage to step forward into something that is really exciting for you, that might light you up. And ultimately, as that all plays itself out, that will give you life momentum. And momentum begets momentum. And I think that that's really a critical component of all this. And without it, without the self-compassion, you run the risk of being locked in old patterns, beating yourself up, coming home cranky, not being present with your family, not sleeping well, having to go back to the office with a poor night of sleep if you slept at all. Like for me, sometimes I had nights of total insomnia, and I had to just somehow get myself off the mattress and into my car to commute to work. And I just feeling so awful, but somehow I had to show up the next day and deliver. And it's just really hard. And then you come back even more tired when you come home. And you just find yourself battling yourself. You're in this constant sort of churning eddy of beating yourself up and not being who you truly are. And you sort of leave yourself and you need to come back to yourself and choose you. So bringing it all home, as I hopefully will land the plane here, reinvention or transformation starts with compassion. It's not through criticism. It's through your compassion for yourself. And that enables you to step into a phase of reinvention and transformation. With self-compassion, you'll have more resiliency. It will help with courage, which could lead to momentum. And it starts with you and laying a really strong foundation. So I ask you to catch that inner critic in the next 24 hours if it pops up, and reframe that whole conversation that you've had with it with compassion. Treat yourself like you would a good friend. Do some belly breathing if that helps. Journal. Pause before you just start beating yourself up. Feel free to check out our website, morecareerwellness.com. On our homepage, we have a couple of things that might be of interest to you. One is you can sign up for one of our sessions. We are currently offering those on Tuesdays. It's a 1-hour free session, and we do a quick intro to more and then do a little mini workshop so you leave with something of value. And also we have a workbook that will help you think about your values and your alignment and other things to get you pointed in a direction of purpose and meaning. Both those are available on our website, morecareerwellness.com. Thank you so much for investing part of your busy day with me. I've really enjoyed sharing these thoughts with you. I hope they've landed with you. Please let me know what you think. If you have someone in your life that you care about that might benefit from this, please forward this episode to them. I look forward to speaking with you again very soon. And I look forward to this journey with you on this podcast, exploring how we can all get more out of life. Until next time, this is AJ Jones.